Clippers star Kawhi Leonard was given permission to leave the team in Denver Wednesday afternoon to be with his family. Leonard has a home in Pacific Palisades, one of the areas hardest hit by the wildfires. Residents in Pacific Palisades have been advised to evacuate. The LA Kings hockey game Wednesday night at Crypto.com against Calgary was postponed. The Lakers are scheduled to play at Crypto tonight against Charlotte. The NBA has yet to confirm whether the game will be played. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is for all the folks who appreciate follow-through. Here's a quick recap of the KBLA Talk 1580 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. More than 6.4 million Southern Californians viewed our climate justice billboards and bus shelters. Another 1.5 million people listened to and or downloaded our weekly conversations with African American climate experts. Our KBLA Climate Justice web portal had 2.8 million unique visitors. Thousands more attended our 7 climate justice community events. More than 9.3 million riders saw our climate care messaging on metro buses and trains. And 39 million Americans accessed our C-SPAN Climate Justice Symposium. All told, our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign exceeded 471 million total impressions. KBLA Talk 1580 thanks all of our 2024 Climate Justice partners: LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, Sierra Club, California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, LA City Council member Curran D. Price Jr., the California Wellness Foundation, MWD, AQMD, and the Port of Los Angeles. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580. 1580.
Live from historic Leonard Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavisSmileyShow.com. That's thetavisSmileyShow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, 2 conversations. Up first, David Miliband, former British Foreign Secretary and now head of the International Rescue Committee, downloads us, that is, on the emergency watch list for humanitarian hotspots in 2025. The emergency watch list for humanitarian hotspots in 2025. Start guessing right now how many of those hotspots include people of color. I digress for now. We'll do that on the top side of hour 2. On the B side of hour 2, Professor of French and African American Studies at Yale, Marlena Doubt, on her new text, The First and Last King of Haiti, The Rise and Fall of Henry Christophe. Of course, we'll also give the thoughts on the current political and economic crises gripping the tiny island nation of Haiti. In our third hour, licensed therapist and author Jarrell Carabello shares tools and tips from his new audio program. It's called Meditations for Black Men, 10 guided meditations for the body, mind, and spirit. We'll do that in our third and final hour today. But let's commence today's show in a moment in conversation with author, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist, and director of the Center for Urban Journalism at Morgan State University, Leonard Pitts, Jr., who I've asked to stand by for just a few moments while I update you as best I can on what we know at this hour about the fires here in Southern California. Once again, I thank all of you listening around the country, indeed around the world, who continue to check in on me personally and on my staff, my team, all of us here in L.A. This station is my family, and of course this show is syndicated and heard across the country. So people keep checking in to see how we're doing. I am very appreciative and grateful for your thoughts and your prayers and your well wishes. But we seem to be okay at the moment, while all of us have friends and family who are living in these areas. We all know people at this point. Pretty much everybody, I think, knows somebody who's lost a home, lost a business. This is becoming much more hegemonic by the day in terms of all of us being connected, if not affected directly, indirectly, by all of our friends and colleagues and others who we know living in these areas where these fires are continuing to spread with zero containment yet. I hate to say that, but at this hour, there's still zero containment of these fires. So let me tell you what I know now, what we know, from a press conference held just this morning here in Los Angeles. Of course, again, this news updates throughout the day, but at this hour, this is what I know from a press conference that was held by the mayor, members of the Board of Supervisors, the sheriff, the police chief, the DA, all kinds of folk were at this press conference this morning. Here's what we know at this hour. These wildfires, plural, as you know, have killed 5 persons up until now, 5 dead, as these blazes continue to spread, not just to Hollywood Hills, but just as I was coming on the air, the mayor pro tem of Malibu was announcing evacuations in Malibu. Malibu is not just under threat. Homes are literally burning as we speak right now in Malibu. So it's Palisades, it's Altadena, it's Hollywood Hills, it's Malibu, etc. Moving toward Topanga Canyon. So there's so many areas. This is like nothing I've ever seen. I've been in California most of my life, and I've never seen anything quite like this. But these Santa Ana winds continue to spread these blazes all around. So 5 dead that we know of at this hour. More than 100,000 people evacuated from their homes. The Palisades fire has burned through almost 18,000 acres. That means almost 27 square miles. We've now seen the destruction of well over 1,000 structures. Once again, these fires are entirely uncontained at the moment, making it, no doubt, the most destructive fire in L.A. history. The Sunset Fire has grown to burn now about 60 acres, and it is now threatening some iconic landmarks. If you know anything about L.A., in Hollywood, you know the Hollywood sign, you know the Hollywood, the Walk of Fame. I was honored some years ago, many years ago, in fact, now, almost a decade, to receive my own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Well, the Walk of Fame is under threat right now. So the Hollywood Hills, again, being burned literally as we speak, but now there are iconic landmarks. The sign, again, Walk of Fame, and other landmarks that are now being threatened by these fires. More than 350,000 customers are without power today. Talked to a number of friends yesterday whose power has been out for a couple of days now. So 200,000 in L.A. County alone, which is, some of you may know, is the most populous county in the country. So 200,000 folk in L.A. County alone without power, about 350 overall. And again, the Santa Ana winds still forecast to be somewhere between 40 and 50 miles per hour today, and 50 to 70 miles per hour tonight and tomorrow morning. So another day or so of these Santa Ana winds blowing at the level of 40 to 70 miles per hour. That's a lot of wind moving awfully fast. People keep asking, why are these fires moving so fast, and why can't they contain them? Because of the winds. At one point, these winds were up to 100 miles per hour. Imagine now the winds blowing that heavily, and firefighters trying to spray water. Water's blowing this way, it's blowing that way. Embers are jumping from here to there. You can't imagine trying to put out fires when you're facing 40 to 70 to 100 mile per hour winds. That is what we know at this hour. So none of that, frankly, is good news but that is the news at this hour. And so yesterday at 3 p.m. Pacific, you'll recall, there was a moment of silence and reflection and compassion, asking God for mercy for those of us here in Southern California. So we used to sing the song in my little Pentecostal church that said, don't stop now. It's praying time. And so it's still praying time. And so that's what we know at this hour, and we'll continue to cover this as best we can, given how this story is developing literally by the minute. When we come forward, with that said, we'll commence the conversation with Leonard Pitts Jr. These fires are the national story, no question about it, but there are other national stories, including, as we speak right now, the state funeral of former President Jimmy Carter in Washington, D.C. So we'll discuss that and a great deal more with Leonard Pitts Jr. when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking.
That's what we do around here.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
This statement has not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
I was always tired, with weekly bouts of indigestion. A friend asked me, when was the last time you did a detox? Never, I said, so she recommended Active Liver.
Our liver works hard every day to remove toxins from processed foods and unclean air and water. But too many toxins can overwhelm the liver, causing it to actually store toxins in our body fat. Low energy, brain fog, headaches, bloating, and skin irritation are all telltale signs that we need to act. Water or juice fasts can help, but often require days or weeks of feeling tired and sick. Thankfully, there's an easier way. Active Liver from New Nordic is a natural supplement that helps your liver effectively eliminate toxins on a daily basis, leaving you feeling better with more energy and less bloating.
Within a week of taking Active Liver, I was feeling better, and now I have more energy than I've had in years.
Available in both tablet or delicious gummies, you can find Active Liver online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com or in stores at your local CVS or Meijer grocery.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Can your pad absorb everything and stay fresh? Always Radiant with Flex Foam can. Get up to 0 leaks, 0 odor, and 0 feel. Because Flex Foam is the only pad with a flexible foam core. You heard me, foam. Always Radiant is so thin, it feels like nothing, yet protects like nothing else. Can your pad do that? For up to 100% leak-free protection, try Always Radiant to see what Flex Foam can do for you.
The following is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit fvgradio.com. If you want a complimentary stay in Cancun at a luxury resort, then Family Vacation Getaways may have your ticket to paradise. We're giving away a 5-day and 4-night stay to the first qualified 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431. You may also be eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $398. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and you may be eligible to get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $398. What are you waiting for? Call 800-868-6431. Again, call 800-868-6431 and give us your answer.
Made fresh daily in Leimert Park,
Los Angeles, California.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist and best-selling author Leonard Pitts Jr., who I want to bring into the conversation now. Before I get to Jimmy Carter, there are some things connected to this fire that I do want to probe and discuss with Leonard Pitts Jr., in part because I happen to know this. And if you're a Leonard Pitts Jr. fan for years, you know this as well. He has lived on the East Coast for many, many years, won his Pulitzer Prize writing his column for the Miami Herald. So he's been an East Coaster for many years, but Leonard Pitts Jr. is actually from Los Angeles. And so I know he has family and friends here. He's watching this back east, as many of you are. Before I get into these other issues, I want to get Leonard's take on. Let me at least start by saying Happy New Year. My first time talking to Leonard this year. Leonard, good to hear your voice. How are you, sir?
I'm well. How are you? Happy New Year to you as well.
Man, I'm doing the best I can. I say all the time, if I complained, I'd be an ingrate. I think that's still true.
Yeah.
If I complained, I'd be an ingrate. I'm grateful to be alive and There's a lot to be grateful for. I'm not trying to proselytize, but my mother, listening in Indiana right now, always says to me, I think it's probably her favorite scripture, in everything, in all things, give thanks. In all things, give thanks. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, whose mother lost her house, just burnt to the ground. 80-year-old woman, been in this house for all these years, couldn't get out with anything. House burnt to the ground, nothing left but the cement, and just family in tears and all of that. And it's hard to know what to say to friends in moments like these, but I just said that in everything we have to give thanks. Your mama and her dog could have been gone. We can get another house. We can do something else, but we cannot bring your mother back. And I've said that to a number of friends. In everything, give thanks. Hard to hold on to those things, those sort of affirmations, even in moments like these. But nonetheless, that is where we find ourselves. But there are a couple things I want to take your temperature on. First of all, speaking of temperature, for those watching on YouTube, you see me pointing to this box. There's a white box here on my desk in the studio. This is a box that we had put in last year, courtesy of a company called IQ Air. IQ Air is one of the leading companies in terms of air filtration. And last year, Leonard, as part of our year-long $2 million plus climate justice campaign, we didn't just want to talk the talk, but also walk the walk. And so we got rid of plastic bottles in our building, in our company, at the studio, the station here in L.A., KBLA. We have a new water filtration system that gives you nice, cool water or hot water if you prefer, but it's filtered. And so now we use recyclable cups, but no longer plastic bottles. We've done away with thousands of bottles of plastic as part of our commitment at this black station to do better on issues of climate and the environment. We also, though, had this company IQ Air come into our building where this studio is housed to put in a new air filtration system. So I can assure you that there's nobody in L.A. on the inside today breathing cleaner air than we are at this studio because of this system that we have in the building. But this box on the desk tells us every couple of seconds what the air quality is inside the studio, what the air quality is outside. So right now, I'm looking at it, the air quality in our studio right now is about 24. That's pretty good. It's better at certain times because the doors open all day long, and people with the bad air from the outside these days is eking or coming in the door with persons opening doors all day long. So the air quality inside the building isn't quite as good as it typically is, again, because the bad air is flowing in. But outside, 24 inside. But the air quality outside right now is 186. This thing is hot red. There's a hot red icon on the screen. The person's wearing masks. The person's wearing glasses. It's letting me know that outside this studio right now, 186 is the reading of the air quality versus 24 inside the studio. And so the air quality here in L.A. is bad. Most of us now walking around with masks once again, not because of COVID, but because the air quality here in Southern California is just that bad. That said, the issues I do want to talk to Leonard about include the way these fires have become politicized so early. For those who were listening yesterday, I hope that means you, and you. We started yesterday because I couldn't resist, Leonard. For the first half hour, I had to go in on Rick Caruso. And now there are others on this list, but Rick Caruso and Elon Musk, I had to go in on them yesterday for politicizing these fires and trying to blame all of this on Karen Bass. I won't repeat or recount what I said yesterday. If you missed it, the podcast of that editorial, that commentary is available everywhere on all of my socials. But we had to go at Rick Caruso, the white male billionaire who lost to Karen Bass, making her the first black woman to be mayor of this city. But he started politicking, and so we had to smack him yesterday. Not literally, but smack him verbally for politicizing this in the midst of people dying, losing their homes and losing their property. He wants to play politics. Well, the mayor is finally pushing back. I was waiting for them to do this. They're finally pushing back, and they've released information now debunking the claims that Rick Caruso made yesterday. So regarding this claim that the mayor cut the budget, well, not really true. She helped to secure more than $100 million worth of raises for LAFD firefighters. This myth about the water hydrants. You heard Rick Caruso. We played the clip yesterday of him calling into the local TV station, complaining no water in the fire hydrants. Well, LAPD, LA DWP, that is, Department of Water and Power, has now responded by saying that all million-gallon tanks were in fact filled prior to Tuesday. That's from DWP, pushing back on that notion raised by Caruso in his call to this TV station in L.A. night before last. And regarding these attacks on the mayor by Caruso, the L.A. Police Protective League has called out Rick Caruso for politicizing this tragedy and spreading misinformation. So the union that represents the police have now come out publicly and pushed back on Mr. Caruso as well. So the tide is starting to turn, I think, a bit in terms of the mayor being blamed for these fires, as if somehow, excuse me, she controls the wind and the rain and et cetera, but just bad politicking. So the first thing I want to get your take on, Leonard, is how fast this ain't your first rodeo, how fast you've seen not just this, but so many other tragedies become so politicized so quickly. Your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting because when there is a mass shooting somewhere in the country, and some of us say, okay, we need to talk about gun policy. The first thing that comes back is it's too soon, and how dare you politicize this tragedy, and thoughts and prayers. Essentially, where it stops. So it's fascinating to see this. But you're right. This is not the first time. As you're talking about what's going on there on the Best Coast. Yeah. I'm thinking about the story that broke here in the Baltimore area last year when the bridge collapse happened. The ship hit the bridge. I don't know if you guys in the West were aware of it.
Oh, yeah.
What immediately happened was attacks on the quote unquote DEI mayor.
That's right.
And DEI governor, who somehow, I guess, steered the ship into the bridge. I still don't understand the reasoning, but they somehow wanted to link the fact that because the mayor is black and because the governor of Maryland is black, somehow this played into the ship, hitting the bridge. I mean, it's the same old song. Yeah. With apologies to the Four Tops, it's the same old song.
Yeah. Speaking of that DEI attack that was levied against the mayor of Baltimore, the black mayor of Baltimore, and the black governor of Maryland, Wes Moore, Elon Musk is at it again today. So just about 7 hours ago, he tweeted, and I quote, speaking of L.A., they prioritized DEI over saving lives and homes. So this is Elon Musk. I call him the co-president-elect. So the co-president-elect is now tweeting that it was DEI that caused these fires, that the mayor and others put DEI over saving lives and homes. This is a tweet, again, from Elon Musk. But that's your point. There is no tragedy, no anything that escapes them somehow connecting it happening to somebody prioritizing DE&I, even as all these corporations, Walmart, McDonald's, and others, are turning away from DE&I. I digress, Leonard Pitts.
Well, and I don't say this lightly, but at this point, I really wish that Elon Musk and all these other folks would just go ahead and use the N-word, because I think it'd probably be easier on their blood pressure.
Wow.
And it would certainly be truer. I've felt this since Obama. I wish that somebody would finally just come out and say, "Who is this N-word to think he should be president?" Yeah. Because that was certainly the core of it. That was always the crux and the cause. And this whole thing of using language and using so-called dog whistles, which have basically become bugles at this point, is just insane. DEI is their new catchphrase. You will remember when it was critical race theory a couple of years ago, and before that it was something else. It's always something. There's always they always have some sort of issue with anything which requires them to deal with the fact that the so-called playing field is not level, never has been level for African Americans, and whatever word or phrasing or quote unquote reasoning they can use to obfuscate and escape from that truth, they will do and they will use.
To your point about Obama, I read this quote yesterday. So today, Elon Musk is quoting about DE&I being the blame for these fires. Yesterday, it was Karen Bass being to the person he blamed yesterday for these fires. So yesterday he tweeted, and I quote, since you mentioned Obama, quote, Obama made sure that Rick Caruso, who is extremely competent, lost to utterly incompetent Mayor Karen, her real name. He writes this, Mayor Karen, her real name. So he's trying to flip the Karen reference, obviously. But this is Musk yesterday. It's Obama who made sure that Rick Caruso, an extremely competent person, lost to the utterly incompetent Mayor Karen. And I asked yesterday, what does Obama have to do with this? So to your point, Leonard, it might be easy if they just went ahead and used the N-word, but again, they will stop at nothing to politicize tragedies even in real time.
Can I say something? This whole thing about racial preference, which is what they're claiming DEI boils down to, is really kind of ridiculous, because if you really look at it, if racial preference is your bugaboo, well, then you have to deal with the fact that no group, white males are the only group in America that has never achieved anything without benefit of de facto racial preferences, racial affirmative action. They're the only ones who've always had affirmative action, okay? Because until the 1950s and 60s, it was the law, and since and it's always, even since and before then, been the custom that the coveted slots in employment, in education, in bank loans, in whatever it is that's desirable, has been set aside for them. You see what I'm saying? So this, and by contrast, nothing people of color have ever achieved in this country. I'm from Elaine Leroy Locke's Rhodes Scholarship to John Johnson's publishing empire to Berry Gordy's record company to whatever. Nothing black people have ever achieved in this country has ever been achieved not only without affirmative action, but without the headwinds, without having to face the headwinds of racial oppression. So who is really the DEI? Who is really the affirmative action beneficiary? Yeah. I would argue it ain't been us.
No. Nobody, as I say all the time, nobody can turn a phrase like Leonard Pitts Jr. There's a good one. It ain't been us. I love it. When we come forward, watching my clock here, I do want to ask Leonard Pitts Jr. about one more thing. Again, he's written about this so beautifully and so powerfully and frankly so courageously and poignantly over the years. Because he won that Pulitzer Prize writing his column for the Miami Herald, he knows his story better than most. It got to a point where the insurance companies in Florida, Leonard knows where I'm going already, stopped covering these hurricanes. They said, it's happening too much. So the insurers just started backing away from hurricane coverage. You see where I'm going, right? It's just a matter of time before these insurers just stop covering homes and businesses in California from fire devastation. I can see it coming already. It's like the Isley brothers. I hear those footsteps in the dark. And it's not the insurers walking toward us, it's them moonwalking away from us. We'll talk about that part of the story. And again, of course, at this hour, they are funeralizing former President Jimmy Carter in the state funeral in the nation's capital. We'll talk about that. And there's another piece I want to get Leonard to share with us. He wrote a piece. He retired from writing his column, but he couldn't help himself. And he went back on Substack to write a piece about this election, which I want him to unpack for us as we move toward Donald Trump being inaugurated on January 20th. So a great deal more to cover with Leonard Pitts Jr., Pulitzer Prize winner, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Tom Kelly's carbon fiber mountain bike. Because more than riding his carbon fiber mountain bike, Tom loves telling people about his carbon fiber mountain bike. Friends, family, even a local barista knows about his carbon fiber mountain bike. And that's why Tom's carbon fiber mountain bike, if you haven't heard about it, is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC now recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. A fire is burning in the Hollywood Hills near Runyon Canyon, threatening structures in the densely populated area. Los Angeles fire crews are on the scene with flames visible across Hollywood. The Israeli army recovered the body of 53-year-old Youssef Ziadani from an underground tunnel in Rafah, Gaza. He was kidnapped during the October 7th Hamas attack. The IDF says he was killed in captivity and has evidence related to his son Hamza, who was also abducted but not confirmed dead. A global study found that 24% of freshwater animals are at high risk of extinction due to pollution, dams, agriculture, and water extraction. The study, involving nearly 24,000 animals, is the largest of its kind. And nominations for the 2025 Screen Actors Guild Awards are out. Wicked leads with 5 movie nods, while Cynthia Erivo is up for lead female actor. Shogun, The Bear, and The Diplomat lead on the TV side. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Nearly 3,000 teen drivers die in car crashes each year. Tire Rack Street Survival is designed to save lives. The one-day hands-on driving school gives teens experience in car control through exercises that include emergency braking and skid recovery. Find a class near you at TireRack.com/survive.
Is this the tackle? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NFL has a contingency plan to move the Rams playoff game Monday night because of the wildfires in the Los Angeles area. If the air quality continues to be unsafe, the Rams will play Minnesota Monday night at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, home of the Arizona Cardinals. No word yet on when the NFL might make that decision. The Chargers donated $200,000 for relief efforts to help people impacted by the fires. Clippers star Kawhi Leonard was given permission to leave the team in Denver Wednesday afternoon to be with his family. Leonard has a home in Pacific Palisades, one of the areas hardest hit by the wildfires. Residents in Pacific Palisades have been advised to evacuate. The LA Kings hockey game Wednesday night at Crypto.com against Calgary was postponed. The Lakers are scheduled to play at Crypto tonight against Charlotte. The NBA has yet to confirm whether the game will be played. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that 3 out of 4 adults in the United States have a high risk factor for severe COVID-19. And black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist Leonard Pitts Jr., who I'm pleased to have back on this program. So, Leonard, just watching my time, I want to make the most of it and cover a few more things between now and the top of the hour. So these hurricanes became too much for the insurers in Florida, as you well know. They started backing away from that kind of coverage. It's just a matter of time before these insurers, I predict, here in California, stop covering people for fire damage. What say you, sir, having covered this story in your career?
I say you're probably right, and you're right. It is hard as heck, as I understand it, to get insurance in Florida for hurricane damage, especially as the effects of global warming continue to be seen, and the storms are becoming more frequent and more damaging. And I think the same is going to happen in Cali. Unfortunately, the West Coast, frankly, because of these, we're seeing increased intensity of these fires, increased. They seem to be bigger. And they see. I mean, I grew up in California, so and in LA, so it was not really surprising to hear a wildfire, damaging wildfire once every few years or whatever. But what we're seeing now is this is pretty much an annual event. Where every time you turn around, California seems to be burning, and that's not the California, it's not the LA area that I recall. So yeah, I can very easily see them starting to restrict coverage or to raise coverage to such a price that is just prohibitive.
Yeah, and officials here in California know that this is coming. The state insurance department issued a new regulation just last month, indeed. I mean, just days before these fires started burning. The state insurance department here in California issued a new regulation last month meant to turn the tide of some of the largest insurance companies' refusals to take on new customers here in California, or decisions not to renew policies of current ones. Under the new rule, insurance companies are permitted to pass on the cost of reinsurance to consumers, although at an amount that can't exceed an industry standard. So the insurance department here in California has been trying to work with these insurers to make sure they don't abandon Californians for this kind of coverage from fire damage. But I suspect that fight's going to get harder in the days to come. I'll leave that alone for now. The point is that these fires have so many tentacles. They got embers, of course, that offshoot them, but they're also political, economic, and social pieces of this puzzle that we'll have to tackle in the coming days. But again, I'll leave that where it is for right now. Let me pivot, if not at all gently or smoothly, to the state funeral of Jimmy Carter. As I mentioned, there's so much news. Leonard knows this, having worked in this business for a lot of years. It's either feast or famine. Some days there are more news stories you can cover, and some days you're looking for stuff to talk about. But these last few days, and I suspect perhaps for the next 4 years with Donald Trump, there'll be no famine when it comes to things that we need to be talking about. But I have said many times that I have been honored and humbled in my career to interview pretty much every president on my during the tenure, the course of my broadcast career, save Donald Trump, and trust me, I ain't crying about that. But I've talked to pretty much everybody else, and I've had the honor to interview Jimmy Carter more than any other president. Jimmy Carter is first on my list in terms of number of times we've sat for one-on-one conversations. Bill Clinton would be second, and Barack Obama would be third. But Jimmy Carter, as I joked yesterday, sat with me so many times over the years because he wrote so many books. Like he wrote like 10,000 books. So he was always touring for these books he was penning. And for some reason, he took a liking to me and always made sure I was on his list when he was talking about books and other issues that mattered to him. So I'm grateful to President Carter for always choosing to sit and talk to me. It meant a great deal to me then and will for the rest of my life and career. That said, as we all know, he passed away at the age of 100, the longest living president ever. And as we speak, they are offering tributes to him. I just saw Andy Young, who was the UN ambassador during the Carter administration, speaking just moments ago. And so I am wanting now to talk to Leonard Pitts Jr. About his thoughts on Jimmy Carter. This is a great debate. We had Chris Matthews on yesterday, who was Jimmy Carter's speechwriter long before he became a popular host on MSNBC. Chris Matthews was Jimmy Carter's speechwriter in the White House. We had Chris Matthews and others on yesterday offering their thoughts about this ongoing debate about Carter's legacy. Decency or weakness was the question I posed yesterday. Decency or weakness. Before I let Leonard opine on that, here now some sound from Jimmy Carter talking. Well, I don't need to explain this. Just listen very carefully, and you'll see why I wanted to play this particular clip.
Well, I grew up during the Great Depression and also during the time for illegal segregation. The Supreme Court, the Congress, the churches, the American Bar Association all said separate but equal was the law of the land. It was separate, but it wasn't equal. I grew up in a little village, unincorporated, named Archery, Georgia, just 2 miles west of Plains, and we were the only white family who lived there. My father was a farmer, and we were surrounded by 55 other families who were African American. And all of my playmates, all of my companions in the field, the ones that I hunted with and fished with, wrestled with, fought with, loved, were black people. And so my life was really shaped, perhaps as much as any other white American who ever lived, by a black culture.
Every president of these United States, Leonard Pitts Jr., doesn't have that sort of backstory. Talk to me.
I'll just say this. I'm remembering the old hymn, Lord, I Want to Be a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
But that sounds so simple, but that's such a fractured identity. It's like, Lord, what kind of Christian do I want to be? Do I want to be a quote-unquote Christian like Donald Trump claims to be, or like Rex Reed or like Jerry Falwell? And, when people used to ask me in public forums, are you a Christian? I'd always hesitate like a microsecond because I knew my answer, but I also was concerned about what my answer was going to say to them.
Mm-hmm.
How are they going to interpret that? So now, I want to be a Jimmy Carter kind of Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I work to be a Jimmy Carter kind of Christian, a man whose faith was less spoken than lived. You didn't have to ask Jimmy Carter, about his faith because it was lived. I remember I wrote a column when he announced that he had cancer in the brain, and what struck me and what I mentioned in the column was that he never, unless people asked him about faith, the reporters asked him, he never really touched on that, but you could see it in the peace and the equanimity with which cancer on the brain. You're going to panic. Someone's going to panic and be freaked out.
Mm-hmm.
And he faced the world and told them about cancer with this blissful smile that said, to me at least, I'm connected to something beyond this. So whatever it is, I'm good.
Yeah.
That's the kind of faith that I aspire to, and want to have more than a lot of what I see around me that sort of masquerades as faith.
Yeah. They're only saying nice things about him today inside the cathedral, the National Cathedral in D.C. Only plaudits and wonderful remembrances are being offered today. But outside the cathedral, there has been this debate about what his true legacy is. What say you about that part?
I think that, Jimmy Carter was probably one of the most unfortunate men to have the presidency, at least in recent years, with the gas crisis and with the Iran hostage crisis being the two, biggest things. But I think he was also a very forward-looking president. Again, solar panels on the White House 50 years ago, appointing more women than anybody to that date had. And I think he also holds a record for appointing African Americans, to high positions in 1976. Hello.
Yep.
So I think presidentially there's a mixed legacy, but again, I think there's a reason that people pivot to the post presidency because it's there that I think you most clearly see and judge the man without having to look through the prism of politics. Sometimes decency and politically smart are not the same thing.
Yeah.
Nope. It's sad to say, but sometimes you can't have those two at the same time. And I think that what happened in the post-presidency without the prism of politics working so much was that people were able to see, this was an uncommonly decent human being and certainly one that, forgetting politics, I think we should all aspire to be a little more like.
Another word or two about Jimmy Carter, whose state funeral is happening today in Washington when we come forward. And then we'll cover one or two other things with our guest in this hour. Pleased to have him, Leonard Pitts Jr., who you're listening to right now on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code MOTOR for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code MOTOR for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code MOTOR.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Somebody bring out the confetti, baby!
Starting Monday, January 6th, KBLA Talk 1580 has a new midday lineup.
I'm excited.
Are you ready for Tavis Smiley, Dr. Cornell West, Jesse Jackson Jr., D.L. Hughley, and E. Quarterly Corte back-to-back?
Oh, my God.
Are you really ready for all this smoke?
I'm ready, brother.
Yes, we still have Dominique DePrima in the mornings and Zoe Williams in the evenings, but middays just got lit on KBLA Talk 1580.
We on fire.
All across America, people are talking about our new midday lineup. Starting Monday, January 6th, our KBLA 1580 app downloads are on fire because everybody's going to be tuning in.
Yes, I love you guys. You are the bomb.
Now would be a good time to hit up SMB at KBLA1580.com if you want folks to hear about your business or brand. That's SMB at KBLA1580.com. It's going up in 2025 on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's going up. That's what I want.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in,
but we're okay with that.
You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist Leonard Pitts Jr., best-selling author. And we'll get to this Substack piece that I mentioned a few moments ago. Before I do that, though, I just wanted to add to the list that you shared a moment ago, Leonard, of the things that Jimmy Carter did quite well during his tenure. He always said to me in our public conversations, certainly in our private conversations, that one of the things he was proudest of is that during his one term, not unlike Joe Biden, Democrat one term, during that one term, though, that the U.S. never went to war. To your point, he took it on the chin for a long time and still is. For the Iranian hostage crisis, those 52 American hostages, he held his ground in that regard, but he was always proud of the fact that not a single bullet was fired. We did not go to war during his time in the White House, and that's not disconnected from his adoration of another Georgian named Martin Luther King Jr., who Jimmy Carter hastily made sure was the recipient posthumously of the highest civilian honor you can receive in this country, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I said yesterday that we saw Joe Biden pass out some of those medals last weekend to Magic and Denzel and Ralph Lauren and Anna Wintour and Hillary Clinton and a few others last week. Bill Nye, the science guy. There's a long list of them. But Jimmy Carter, this Georgian, who nobody saw coming from South Georgia, pulls off this miraculous election. And one of the first things he does is to pardon those persons who did not want to fight in Vietnam and went to places like Canada. He understood that. That was a bold. That's a bold move to pardon people who didn't want to fight in a U.S.-led war. That was bold. But then he turns around almost immediately and gives Dr. King the Presidential Medal of Freedom. But again, that's not disconnected from his view around the issue or connected to the issue of nonviolence. And again, he always told me that he was proudest of the fact that we didn't go to war during his one term, Leonard Pitts Jr.
Yeah, it's funny. I just saw a little bit of a funeral. Someone was reading Walter Mondale's eulogy of Jimmy Carter, and he said, "We never lied. We never lied. We kept the peace." And I forget the third thing he said, but it's like three things. And I'm looking at who's sitting down there in front of him, and it's just like I kind of had to laugh. We never lied. We kept the peace, and the third thing. But they were all and Walter Mondale died many years ago, so obviously this was not intentional, but the juxtaposition was unavoidable.
No, it's fascinating. You take Leonard's point, and what Leonard's really underscoring is that when the person on the program today read Walter Mondale's tribute to Jimmy Carter about never lying and keeping the peace, the person reading this is looking at 5 presidents. There are 5 of them sitting on the front row, and they have to hear that kind of language as they know they didn't do that. And so I take the point that Leonard Pitts Jr. is making. When we come forward in our remaining moments with Leonard Pitts Jr., I want to give him a chance to sound off on this Substack piece. He retired from writing his column, and now he's writing books. But on this one issue of the 2024 presidential race, he couldn't take it no more. He's like Popeye. I stood all I can stand. I can't stand no more. And back he came to writing a column about this. I'll let him share that with you when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the propane tank on your grill first before hosting a tailgate.
Let's fire up.
Here, let me try. Seriously? You didn't check the propane?
Who wants chips?
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Salt and vinegar?
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Give the star in your life the brightest gift in the world. Name a star after them. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can name a star for birthdays, weddings, or even memorials. Over 45 years, we have named millions of stars for celebrities and individuals from around the world. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The smarter way to clean your floors. It's time to make the swap. Swiffer Power Mop.
Introducing the new Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one tool that gives you a mop and bucket clean in half the time. The solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket, and the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get deep into grout. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Leonard, there's not a whole lot to laugh about these days. Jimmy Carter is dead, and they are funeralizing him right now in Washington. These wildfires are burning out of control here in Southern California, where I live and where you grew up. It's not a lot to be jovial about these days, but I was just laughing moments ago because if I ever needed evidence beyond the ratings that I see all the time, and you're in radio, you get ratings, of course. But whenever we are selling radio at this station or any other station around the country that I'm heard on, people want to know what your ratings are. That's one way to sell. When people ask me, you know, who's listening? What kind of audience do you have? I can assure you a whole lot of folk are listening. And here's how I know. Because whenever anybody says something that suggests that they can't recall something, or if somebody says something wrong, everything around here blows up. I got a really smart audience. And so it didn't take long for like a gazillion people to tell me that third thing that you could not remember, Leonard Pitts Jr., everybody.
Thank you, people.
Yeah.
I have seen your moment. I appreciate it.
Everybody listening right now has sent me all kind of messages saying, here's the third thing that Leonard Pitts Jr. could remember. Here's the quote. We told the truth. We obeyed the law.
Thank you. That's it.
And we kept the peace. That's it. We told the truth. We obeyed the law, and we kept the peace. That is funny to me because it didn't take long. My phone, the phone and social media, just blitzed with all these people. So clearly there's somebody listening to us right now, Leonard Pitts Jr., and they wanted us to know that is the third thing that Walter Mondale said in his eulogy that he wrote many years ago. He's long been dead, but he wrote this eulogy for Jimmy Carter. They read it today at the state funeral, and that's what he said. That's what was read out loud with 5 presidents sitting there listening. We told the truth. We obeyed the law, and we kept the peace. Yeah, one in particular, yeah. Anyway, they're listening, Leonard Pitts Jr., and they came to you. Thank you to all the audience members for the assist. Leonard Pitts Jr., thanks you for the assist, as do I. I've got 2 minutes left. I'll give it to you, Leonard Pitts Jr. You just couldn't help yourself. You had to come back and write a piece for Substack. Tell me about it in the 2 minutes I have left, sir.
I got 2 minutes, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just top line it for me. They'll read it. They'll read it.
The piece was called "Give the People What They Want," and it basically dealt with all the theorizing as to why Kamala Harris lost the election. I'm just really frustrated with these people, you know, essentially claiming that one says that if she'd talked to more men, if she'd spent more time on men's issues, and other people seem to think if she'd knocked on a few more doors in Pittsburgh or spend more time in rural diners or something like this. And the bottom line is, none of that would have made a darn bit of difference. The people knew what they wanted. People don't always want to admit what they want, but the people knew what they wanted. The people wanted somebody to validate their intolerance. And you know, and this wasn't about the price of eggs. This was about we need somebody to validate our intolerance. And I get frustrated with people sort of wanting to put this on other things, because if you look back to the first election of this individual, we have the studies now. There are multiple studies saying no, people wanted the intolerance. They wanted this. So, you know, don't tell me that Kamala Harris lost because you had to pay too much for eggs. Kamala Harris lost because she's a brown woman, and this is not what you wanted. You wanted somebody to validate your antipathy toward people like her and like us.
That's it, to validate their antipathy, to validate their intolerance. The piece is on
That's
Substack.
all it's about.
If you can find it, it's worth reading. I mean, everything that Leonard ever wrote to me is must-read copy. But this Substack piece called "Give the People What They Want" is worth reading if you can get your hands on it. Leonard Pitts Jr., as always, sir, I thank you for this time. We'll do it again throughout the year. And hope you have a good rest of the day, my friend.
Thank you. Stay strong, L.A.
Thank you, Leonard Pitts Jr. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. A fire is burning in the Hollywood Hills near Runyon Canyon, threatening structures in the densely populated area. Los Angeles fire crew rolled Youssef Ziadni from an underground tunnel in Rafah, Gaza. He was kidnapped during the October 7th